This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
Yet another massive showing by the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football as they poured on the second half against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now it's time, I think, to reassess this Baltimore Ravens team and identify what their true upside is there still value in the futures market, and much more. Today, we're going to dive deep on those Ravens, take a look at where they stand in my current power rankings, look at the futures market, MVP market for Lamar Jackson, and kind of see what we see there, but also take a look at my updated power rankings and let you know who sits number 2 behind the Ravens, because Ravens are number 1 in both models as of right now. Then finally, we'll take a look ahead to week 8 in the NFL, lay out 2 spreads and 2 totals I like at FanDuel Sportsbook. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, here to take a look at my updated NFL power rankings, letting you know where the Ravens lie, who is in contention behind them, and my favorite bets across week 8 in the NFL. We'll dive into all that here in just 1 second, but first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. If you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and also don't forget to subscribe to get these shows as they go live Monday through Friday. Also, we are live here every weekday on this brand new YouTube page, breaking down best bets across the NFL and college football on Wednesdays, DFS on Thursdays as well, all in the exact same place. So appreciate those of you watching as always. Hit subscribe there, turn on notifications, and leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate all of you as always over on the YouTube side of things. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So, when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only, $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Arizona, Colorado, DC, Iowa, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit M&D Gambling Help in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's take a look now at the Baltimore Ravens. Try to dig in and identify what exactly we saw on Monday night, but also throughout this entire year, because it was a big win for the Ravens, specifically seeing what their offense did. Now, I know there was no Mike Evans in that game, but the offense to me was the major thing, not the defense. The defense still had some shakiness for sure, despite those 2 picks from Marlon Humphrey, who did leave the game in the first half. The thing that I like most about the Ravens is they seem to be kind of a different offense and different team than what they've been in the past, where in the past we've seen the Ravens really struggle in the postseason. And part of that was because if they got down, they couldn't make up ground. And they were dependent on a specific game script playing out, which led to some flukiness late in the season. But this year, I think that they can win in both ways, based on what we've seen from Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson rushing, but also Lamar Jackson as a passer. And frankly, I'm not sure why this has happened. Maybe Lamar is just better. Maybe he's more comfortable in year 2 with Todd Monken. Maybe the pass catchers have improved. I'm not really sure what has happened here, but I do think that it's a more sustainable version of this Ravens team. So if we look at my updated power rankings, considering that passing offense, considering some issues on defense still, the Ravens are first in one of my models by a wide margin. Now, that's not the predominant model in in my model, because I use two different models, kind of give a checks and balance kind of thing there, two separate routes to getting me a view of different teams. The Ravens are first in the underlying model by a wide margin, because they're first in both early down EPA and late down success rate, and that is very hard to do, but they're doing it right now. The pass defense still is not very good, but they have faced a decently tough schedule in that regard, and their rush defense is among the best in football. So you make opposing teams one-dimensional against you, which is a good thing, because you kind of know what to expect and can maybe safeguard yourself from the fact that, yeah, you're going to see a lot of passing attempts here. The Ravens are first in my other power rankings too, but it's by a slightly smaller margin. So looking at updated Super Bowl odds at FanDuel Sportsbook, the Ravens plus 550 to win it all. The Chiefs are plus 450. Now, the Chiefs are pretty well ahead in the race for the first overall seed, because they have the head-to-head win over the Ravens, and because they don't have the two losses that the Ravens have as well. So a couple of factors are leading to the Chiefs being the favorites here, but I think it's, to me at least, pretty obvious the Ravens are the better team. Maybe that's blasphemous because it's not Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes finds a way to win every single time. That defense is better than the Ravens too. I think the Ravens are the better team. Now, because of the issue with the first round bye, I'm not going to get to the Ravens plus 550 to win it all, but I do think it was at least worth digging into to see if there would be value there. After last night's game, Lamar Jackson, now the favorite to win NFL MVP. He is plus 210 at FanDuel Sportsbook. Patrick Mahomes plus 470, followed by Josh Allen plus 650, and Jared Goff 7-1. When I was kind of thinking about this show yesterday, I was like, okay, I can come on here and take a look at the MVP mark and identify where there is value, because I thought that Mahomes was overvalued, which should lead to value somewhere else. And then Jackson did what he did and kind of changed that argument for sure. Plus 210 for Jackson, that's still tough to get to despite how good he has been, because there is voter fatigue, and he's already won it twice so far, just won it last year. Now, he is more deserving of it so far this year than he was last year, so I don't personally care about that. Just kind of knowing the way that voters work, that makes it tough for me to get there. I would still give some consideration to Josh Allen plus 650 and kind of Jared Goff 7-1, because Goff is absolutely shredding right now. But I think the bigger thing for those two teams is, let's go back to the power ranking discussion. Because I think if I want to buy into Allen or buy into Goff, I'd rather do so via these markets, because I think that both those teams have the model you want to go deep in the playoffs. The Ravens are first in both my models for power rankings. The Lions are actually second in one and fourth in the other. So the Lions creeping up there. This is in part because Brandon Ayuk is gone for the Niners. I've been pretty stubborn and keeping them pretty high. I had to budge on that. Deebo Samuel has pneumonia. Not sure what his timeline is. George Kittle has a foot sprain. There's a lot of issues with the Niners right now, and that did knock them down. The Lions sitting at just one loss right now. They've got the tiebreaker in the NFC North currently. We'll play the Vikings again later on, but they're in a good position to potentially grab that one seed. So to me, the Lions are the number one team in the NFC, and I feel pretty good in saying that. As for the Bills, I do think that they're pretty intriguing. They rank third in my primary model, and they rank second in the secondary model. The Chiefs probably should be up there because, again, they are playing really good defense. They've got Mahomes. They can figure things out as far as the pass catchers go. Eventually, we should just assume the Chiefs will figure things out, because they always do, and they've got the world's best football player in Mahomes at quarterback, and arguably the best coach as well in Andy Reid. So the Chiefs should be higher, but just from a numbers-based perspective for power rankings, it's hard to get them up there because the pass offense is really struggling right now, and it's hard to project them to get a ton better because they are missing so many key players on that side of the ball. So I should rank the Chiefs higher, but from a numbers-based perspective, with the way that my numbers work, it's hard to get them up there because of the passing efficiency being where it's at right now. The Bills, I do think, are intriguing, though. They are currently 11-1 to win the Super Bowl, because to me, we're looking at a situation where there are a very clear, to me, top four teams in the NFL once you account for the Niners injuries. And those four teams being the Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, and Bills. And the Bills, by a pretty wide margin, have the longest odds in that group. They're 11-1, in part because they've got to go through both the Chiefs and the Ravens to make the Super Bowl, whereas the Lions don't have as tough a competition on the NFC side of things. So the Bills, I understand why they're 11-1, but I do think they're pretty interesting because They are a team that has some upside now with Amari Cooper. They, I think, can win in both ways because that rushing offense is very good, and the defense has its issues, but not. I don't think it's one that's going to drag them too far down later on in the year. And Sean McDermott does have a good track record as far as whipping together a good defense. So if I were placing a Super Bowl future right now, it'd likely be on the Bills 11-1 to win it all right there. You could also go towards Josh Allen to win MVP. Personally, I think that with how run heavy they've been, he's probably not going to put up numbers as good as Lamar's. And he's had a couple of really bad showings so far. So don't think I'll get there. Don't think I'll get to Goff at 7-1. MVP market more of a stay away from me right now. Given Jackson, I think, does deserve it right now. And it is the favorite at plus 210, but I can't quite get there. So to me, if I'm placing one futures bet right now, it would be on the Bills at 11-1 to win it all. But I think the big takeaway here is Ravens are legit, and I think more sustainable than they were in years past, which does bode well for what they could do once we get to the postseason. So that's the power rankings update. Let's take a look now at the betting odds for week number 8 over at FanDuel Sportsbook and identify where my favorite values are for this week. One of those best bets is actually on a team we just discussed. That is the Buffalo Bills, who are on the road taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Bills favored by 3, minus 115 to lay the 3 in this game. I think the Bills are a value at -3 at minus 115 to defeat the Seahawks in this one. So I do want to lay the 3 with the Bills here. This game was a 3 yesterday, and then DK Metcalf ruled week to week. Thought there was a chance he might be able to play this one, but once he was ruled week to week, that kind of tells me that he's not going to sit. The money line did move a decent amount, and it was minus 105 to lay the 3 previously. Now minus 115. I think that should have shifted a bit more because if you look at the Seahawks offense, they've only got 2 explosive pieces. Those explosive pieces being DK Metcalf and Kenneth Walker III. The defense is really bad, despite an ace game on Sunday. And I think that when you give a reduced Seattle offense, specifically in the passing game, specifically as far as explosiveness, that's going to hurt them when they're facing a team like the Bills. As mentioned, the Bills do rank in the top 3 in both my power rankings as of right now, and that's without giving a bump for Amari Cooper because it takes time for receivers to get integrated into a new offense. Cooper did look good in his first game with the Bills, but he should play more snaps this time around. He ran just 11 routes in that game, 5 targets, but looked really good in that first game and now should have a more expanded role. James Cook was healthy in that game too. I thought that was a positive because the Bills are going to be able to move the ball both on the ground and through the air in this game. The defense for the Bills is bad against the rush, which means they may struggle to stop Kenneth Walker III here. But again, the loss of Metcalf is big. So I've got the Bills favored by 5.7 here, which allows me to lay the 3 even at minus 115 as I head out to Seattle for this game. So first bet I want to lock in for week number 8 is the Bills -3, minus 115 as they take on the Seahawks. The other spread I'm looking at right now is actually in a pretty interesting game. It's a lot more interesting than it would have been a couple weeks ago. That is the New York Jets at the New England Patriots. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Jets favored by 7. Total in this game is 41.5. And I think I actually want to take the Patriots in this game. Now, I do want to note that there are weird vibes around the Patriots. The coach called the team soft. Rod Mayo did after their game. We've seen Bill Belichick kind of pushing back against that in the media, saying, hey, it's your job to make them not soft. So weird vibes there, which is never a great sign. And they're also at a travel disadvantage because they were in London last week, whereas the Jets were in Pittsburgh. But I kind of think Drake May's got some juice, and he's clearly an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett. It hasn't led to great results yet because they've, struggled in both their games, but we should give this offense an efficiency bump. Even if I run this game without a bump for Drake May, I had the Jets favored by 5.7 points. So still a value there. And again, I do think they deserve a bump up with Drake May. The defense is legitimately bad for the Patriots. I do agree with Gerard Mayo there. But the Jets defense also might be a bit overrated right now. So they're a team you've been able to throw on. They lack depth on the defensive line, even if Hassan Reddick is able to play in this game. And I'm not totally convinced that he will. And the secondary got even more banged up in that game on Sunday. So I don't know if the Patriots will win, but they're catching 7 points at home, and that's a pretty big number. So I do want to take the +7 on the Patriots. The total in this game is just 41.5, and I've actually got it a bit lower than that, which leads to the Patriots being just 4.1 point underdogs for me in this one. So I'm fine taking the points when that's the case. So again, 4.1 points if I make it Drake May a starter, 5.7 points if I make no adjustment for Drake May. I think that's an okay bump, 1.6 points going from Brissett to Drake May based on what we've seen so far. And that does lead to the Patriots being a value for me. So we'll take the Patriots +7 at -110 as our second bet of this week. As far as the totals I like here, the first one is actually to be in the Thursday night football game between the Vikings and the Rams. I don't want to touch the spread here. The Rams +3 are a bit of a value for me, but not really sure what we'll see out of Cooper Kupp in his first game back. To me, the bigger value in this Thursday night game is in the total. Under 48.5 is -120 at FanDuel Sportsbook. -120 is a lot to lay, but I've got this number a decent amount lower because neither team has guys who generate a lot of explosives on offense. Now, Justin Jefferson can, Jordan Addison can, and Aaron Jones can, but the Rams really don't. They're kind of more of it in their current iteration, more of a grinded out team without this big play down the field threat, and especially when Kyron Williams more of a grinder, high success rate kind of back versus an explosive play kind of back. And you need an explosive to get to a total this high. The Vikings defense, pretty tough to ignore. They are facing Matthew Stafford here, who is a very cerebral quarterback, a very smart quarterback, and that's a plus for them against a Brian Flores defense that kind of just throws stuff at a wall and sees what sticks. But I do still think that the defense can keep the Rams offense in check here. I also don't think the Rams will be able to run the ball at all on this Vikings defense. The Rams defense is bad. We know that for sure, but they're 25th based on my 2024 only ranking. So they're in a below average defense, but not an awful defense. So in this game, we have one elite defense in the Vikings, one below average defense, and two, I would still say average offense. Maybe that's disrespectful to the Vikings, given that they are, still 5-1 right now. But I don't think this total should be 48.5 based on all those factors combined. I've got this one closer to 44, frankly. Again, maybe that's blasphemous to the Vikings offense, who did play very, very well in that Detroit game. But my favorite total of the week will be the under in this game, under 48.5, sitting at -120. Other total I like here is, again, going back to a team we discussed earlier on, that is the Ravens versus the Browns. This total has come up. It was 42.5 yesterday. I think that movement is correct, and I think there is still value on the over 44.5 -110 because this Ravens offense is a world beater right now. They're a team that can score points even when they're up big in a game. It doesn't matter. If you're running the ball at Derrick Henry, you're going to get explosives, going to score points, and that's a positive for hitting an over in a game where they are pretty big favorites. The Cleveland defense also is a unit that I think is a bit overrated still. We still have this perception of them from what they were last year, where they were phenomenal, but they're struggling to stop the pass. Myles Garrett's still not 100%. He's a great player, but he's not 100% right now, it seems like. And the defensive backs have been banged up too. If I look at just 2024 data, the Browns rank 15th for me defensively. The Ravens are 21st there. They're still struggling to stop the pass, and that may matter more this week than it would have in the past because I'm projecting Jameis Winston to start this game. Now, it sounds like Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be okay long-term, but he has a finger injury, and it sounds like on a short week or on a quick turnaround here for a game on Sunday, I'd lean towards Winston starting this game. Maybe Thompson-Robinson is an emergency backup, but Winston can let it rip. It might make the passing offense more efficient because, frankly, they can't get less efficient. So it does feel weird to upgrade a team as they move to Jameis Winston because I've always been, I think, lower than consensus on Winston. Just the turnovers always stood out to me and stuff like that. But with how Watson was playing, I do think it's correct to upgrade this passing offense for the Browns. Now, I still have the Ravens favored by more than double digits, so the 10.5 is not something I want to take with Cleveland, but it does lend itself more towards a game that could feature a lot of points than what we would have seen previously. The current wind speed is just 4 miles per hour in Cleveland, which is lower than usual. So I've got the total in this game closer to 47 than 44.5. So I'm willing to take the over with that being the case. So my favorite bets for this week at FanDuel Sportsbook, at least based on the current odds there, are the Ravens and Browns over 44.5. I like the Rams and Vikings under 48.5. That's at minus 120. We'll take the Patriots +7 at minus 110. And finally, lay the 3 with the Bills on the road against the Seahawks. And that is minus 115 to do so as of right now. That's all that we have here for today on Covering the Spread. Back with you once again tomorrow, breaking down week number 9 in college football. Riley Thomas of FanDuel Research will join me 4 p.m. Eastern, breaking down his best bets across all of week 9's key games across the nation. To get that as it goes live, make sure you search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast, but also, again, subscribe to this YouTube page to get the most up-to-date betting odds as we go live each and every weekday, and also twice a day Thursday with the DFS show at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you got any questions for me, I am on X at JimSannes. You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Want to give a big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. Good luck if you're betting NBA for opening night. So glad to have that back in our lives. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow to break down week number 9 in college football. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.